Okay. Okay, are we working now? I'm gonna have to check to make sure this is working now. Just a minute. Right, so if I bring up that, at last. Oh, right. So for ages I've been trying to get this damn thing to work, and it wouldn't work, and I don't know why. I'm gonna go back. Okay. So I started off there. Now I got, yeah. Okay, right. Let me just make sure that my live stream's working now, because otherwise I'm going to be stupid talking to myself. Hang on. I hate it when technology goes wrong. Okay, it looks like I've got one live stream and it's blank. Right, let me just check, make sure that's working. I'm going to have to edit the beginning off. Alright, it looks like it's working. Right, so... I hate it when technology goes wrong. Okay, it looks like I've got one live stream and it's blank. So you don't have any schematics, you don't have any this, you don't have any that. Well, what about this? Oh, my waffle. Is it working? Right, okay, it's working now. Oh, I'm going to go back. Okay. I have to double check. Right, okay, so let me just start again. Right, I'm going to start again. I'll edit all this out later, all the blank stuff, right? So, as I was saying, a few years ago, going back to 2016, 13th of August 2016, I was working on this magnetic polarization using a tunnel, a magnetic field. Now, the thing about magnetism is it wants to spread out. It always wants to spread out. That's the way it works. Magnetic fields expand. They always spread out. And one of the problems with trying to make a generator which uses a very focal magnetic field, where you can pulse a magnetic field to generate electricity, is the fact that it's very reluctant to let go once you've generated induced a magnetic once you've saturated the coil and the core material with an inductance, there's a reluctance to let go once you pass the top dead center point. It will pull on itself. It will say, there's this reluctance to let go. It's the same kind of thing you get with a back EMF with a diode. When you disconnect a circuit, it's like it wants to keep flowing, and so you get a giant spark when you disconnect it. Well, with a magnetic field, it's a very similar thing, really, in a way, because it's trying to hold on to that field until the saturation is, till the opposite and the saturation is completed. But that is what causes drag. That's what causes a slowdown in a rotary system. So I was working on this idea of using a magnetic pole tunnel thing. I wanted to generate power, and I used bismuth, and I was playing around with bismuth and magnetite and all sorts of ideas, which I don't think I actually built this thing, right? I didn't actually build this thing, right? But it was an idea. But I built something based on it, which was my pyramid coil. Now if you look at this pink area here, oh shit, I've just remembered, sorry about this. My cursor's visible. Right, so this pink thing here, right, this is my pyramid coil, right? That's this, right? Forgive me for taking a break in between talking, because I am stressed out right now. I'm trying to get back into the vibe, you know. So I made this pyramid coil. I actually got somebody else to 3D print it for me, because this is before I had a 3D printer. This is before my friend in America sent me a 3D printer. So I was working on this idea, and I think, if I remember rightly, I packed that core with magnetite, and there was also steel rods going through the middle. So I had some steel rods going through the center for the concentrated part of the field, and I think I had magnetite around the steel cores, right? So it was a bit like a jam sandwich, opposite way around though. The jam was the steel core, and the magnetite was the margarine or the butter or whatever, right, around it. Anyway, I used that in some experimental tests I was doing on a rotary system, and I was holding it there, and I think I did some videos on that, and I think I did some videos on that. I'm pretty sure I did. I might not have done, but anyway, I had some really interesting effects with it. Now, I was just showing this a bit ago, and because I couldn't remember exactly what my idea was at the time, because this, you have to remember, this is going back over what's the date? Did I put a date on there? Oh, well, it's all the same anyway. It's 2016, this, because I did this all around the same time, right? So the aim is to focus the magnetic field forwards over coil, and using some magnetic traction to diffuse the magnetic field along magnetite substances each side of the coils. Right, that's what I wrote there. If I'm talking bullshit, then forgive me, because I can't remember what I was doing at the time. The magnetite is polarized over. There was a lot of reluctance with this, you know. I mean, a lot of delay, because the magnetite it's very rejective of change unless you induce a strong field over it. It kind of acts like it's a little bit. It displaces the magnetic field. It's very kind of diffused, if you like. It's a bit like a light diffuser. It spreads the field out, right? Anyway, you can read that for yourself, what I was trying to do at the time. Right, let me go to the next one. So this was the mold I made to make these shields. Now if we go back to there. Now you see this big pink thing across here, right? Goes all the way across here. That was my shield, and that was made out of magnetite. So when the core material was induced with the magnetic field, as the rotor passed, it was blocked by this shield, and I had some very interesting results with that. Now if I go back, forwards, forwards. Now this shield was my magnetic ring. It was like a it was displacing my magnetic field. So I made this mold to cast my shield, and it was made out of magnetite. And at the time, everyone thought, "What the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing?" I've still got that mold kicking about, but I don't know what happened to my shields. I think they're kicking about somewhere. But it was all purely experimental, and that was originally 3D printed by a friend who I had to pay for. I had to pay him to do it for me. Let's see, let's go on to the next one. So there's my concentric 6, which had an array of six magnets. So the first magnet would have been inside, it would have been south, then the next one would have been inside north, then inside south, inside north, inside, so on, right? And that focused a magnetic field. This was another thing I did on that rotary system. The idea was that when you have a rotor passing by, it would attract on. Say the rotor was south, it would pull on all the north fields on this concentric, and all the north fields would be pulled towards the rotor, and the south fields would be deflected away the opposite direction down the course, right? And it was to overcome lens effects. And it seemed to work quite well, although I had a lot of losses because my build was such that it was the length of the cores and everything, and it was so big, the distances were so huge that I had a lot of losses, but I had some very interesting results with that rotary system. And this was another coil I was working on. This was the internal bobbin, and I actually made that into an attenuator. I think it was this one. Let's see. I had this internal bobbin right in the middle. Oh God, I can't remember. That was, we dated it 3rd of September 2016 when I actually designed this. Right, let's go to the next one. Now this was my magnetic attenuator to adjust my, like I was saying a bit ago, it was to adjust my magnetic field to, it was like a fine tuner, like an electronic trimmer, but it was a magnetic trimmer. And I had these things made in engineering. They were like little steel bullets, but they're not bullets. I call them bullets in my actual video. I said they're not bullets because they're not. They're steel shunts for the magnetic field. Now this was used in two places. It was used for the focal point against the rotor as the rotor was passing to send magnetic field directly through to my core material. That's why I had so many losses though. But it was used there, and I also used them later on in my attenuator. Right, let me just go on. Let's see if I've got it on here somewhere. I also had some rings cut from hollow pipe. The idea was that as the rotor went down, I had these rings stuck on the end of those little bullet shaped things, right? These little rings, the idea was that the field would rotate around the ring like a toroidal thing, right? So as the rotor came down, the magnetic field would be at an axis coming down through the ring, but the field would pass through to the core material on the other side. So as the rotor passed through, anyway, let me go on. You can read that. I needed high magnetic properties for that. Forget about the phone number, by the way. It doesn't work anymore. My phone number doesn't work anymore, right? That one doesn't anyway, so you can't ring me on that because it doesn't work anymore. Oh, what the hell is this? Oh, this is somebody else has done. I downloaded. Forget that. I don't know what it is. Right, this is my concentric 6. Right, just a little bit more details on it. Some more dimensions. I made some chunky ones as well. These were quite deep. I mean, they were quite long. That was the diagram I sent to the guy who 3D printed them for me before I actually got my own 3D printer. What the hell's going on? Am I seeing the same thing again? What's this? Blank? Oh. Right. There is the actual arrangement for the initial arrangement for the rotary system. The rotary systems are these things on the end, right? So the idea was the magnetic field would pass through the rings, induce a coil, the electricity in the coil, and these things on the sides simulate some of the shielding, I believe, if I remember rightly. Whereas the shielding would, once it passed that focal point there, it would kick out the rotors. That was the idea. So these were, as these magnets came towards these, they would be attracted. The actual rotors themselves would be attracted to these because that's, say, north and that's south. So as it came to these, it would reduce the amount of drag as it leaves the actual generator part of the coil. So it's actually pulling on these instead of being dragged back on there. So that was the balance, like a counterbalance thing. So if you look at it, the coil coupler steel ring, the magnetic field is rotated, reducing braking effect as ring gives a change in flux approach path relative to coil. Right, so that's another idea that I built. But obviously you have to have quite a strong field coming through here for it to actually work, right? Let's see, next one. That's the other part of that mold that I just showed you, that I made them shields. That's the other part of the mold. Back at the mold again. Have I gone all the way around? No, here we go. Right. This was something else I worked on. It's something else I was playing around with. I believe I made that thing out of magnetite. I think there was some ferrite mixed in with it or something. Oh, I can't remember. 3 parts magnetite mixture, 1 part graphite. I'm not sure why I used graphite, to be honest with you, but it was an experiment. I was interested. So that was August 2016 when I did that. When I drew that. Now this is the actual shield after I'd made it. This is what it looked like after it had been in the mold. And the reason for these little white pot, these little bits, is where I had some holes, and this is basically where I put placeholders. It's like placeholders basically, but it was part of the mold that came through on that. This was one of my shield rings that went around the coil, and I actually ended up making them a lot bigger than that because that was pretty small really. Let's see, that one didn't come out so well. It got a big chip in it, but it didn't seem to matter much actually. So remember, these were all moulded, you know. That's what was in my this was the mould. That was the thing I moulded, right? So what else is there? I made a lot of changes to these dimensions because there's my concentric 6 with the magnets in. I forgot what that bit is. Oh, that must be the actual. Right, that was the magnetite. Yeah. I was trying to explain a lot of this. Oh, forget about that. That's something else. It was an electronic bug I made years ago. Hang on, just missed something. No. Right, well, I'm trying to find my attenuator thing that I made. It's somewhere around. I might get some surprises here. I might click on, might be some images showing up in here which I've forgotten about. I've got no secrets. Right, so there's another part of the mold thing. I actually had holes made in it. That's what showed up on like placeholder things. These were little holes in the actual ring, which actually made little things stand out, the little studs that came out. Where are we? Oh, it's a chip. Alright, I've been all the way around now. That's all the archive footage, all the archive pictures, screenshots and designs and things that I was working on back then. So I just wanted to cover that in case anyone out there was curious about some of the stuff that I was designing way back in 2016. And that was a year before my mum died as well. No, that was a year before my dad died. He died in... No, that was... Hang on. Yeah, that was a year before my mum died. It started getting mixed up because my dad died in 2007 and my mum died in 2017, which is weird. I keep getting these 10-year spaces. It was really strange, but it was 20-year spaces for my brother and sister. My brother died in 2005, and my sister died in 1985, which is weird. 20 years apart. I'm thinking, why the hell there's all these weird numbers coming up? You know, it's just, I don't get it. But then when my mum died and my dad died, it was like 10 years apart, exactly, almost, which is really weird. So these numbers, these dates give me a headache. Anyway, I've already gone through all this, so I thought I'd share with you anyway. I'm going to have to chop the beginning of this live stream off because it was all blank. Oh well, thanks for watching. Bye for now.